All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Kayla Beyer from Housing Assistance Corporation. I'm joined with my colleague Gail Kelleher and the Executive Director of Falmouth Housing Trust, Karen Bissonette. We are excited to present Lewis Neck Road opportunity to you tonight. So just before we get started, a few housekeeping rules. This presentation is being recorded. We are in a webinar format tonight, which means everyone is muted. So please feel free to utilize the chat as we go through this meeting. We will hold time at the end of the presentation to sort of go through any questions that have popped up, and we'll try to answer as many as we can. If we do miss any, we will compile a list and email out to everyone a Q&A. So a quick agenda here. We're going to provide a little bit more detail about the actual homes, and then we're going to jump into the application process, the eligibility requirements, and then sort of a general timeline of what you can expect. So with that, I will hand it over to Karen.
Thanks, Kayla. Can you advance one slide? Thanks.
Sure.
So we have 3 homes on Lewis Neck Road. You saw pictures of them. They are identical, except for the color of the outside. We have 2 homes that we're selling at 80% of area median income for $245,000, and 1 home at 100% of area median income for $290,000. Go ahead. So as you can see, this is a very convenient location. It's just off of Acapesket Road, if you know Falmouth, off Acapesket Road. It's only about a mile from Route 28. And then it's a little over a mile from the water. So it is a very wonderful location in Falmouth. Thanks, Kayla. Here's some plans of the house. So as you can see on the left-hand side, the downstairs consists of dining room, living room, and a kitchen. The kitchen has nice wooden cabinets. They're a gray color. And throughout we have the vinyl wood flooring that is very nice. The master bedroom on the first floor has a closet. And then the bathroom the downstairs bathroom has a shower and obviously a toilet and a sink. And then there are some very nice cabinets that run top to bottom next to the sink for storage. Also, there is like a pantry in the hallway and a coat closet as you come into the house. The second floor, the 2 bedrooms, they're quite large because the bedrooms go all the way down to the floor in kind of like a gradual down. Instead of putting a wall up, we gave as much space as possible. So the bedrooms upstairs are rather large, and the bathroom upstairs has a tub and a shower. And the basement is very large. It's actually like a 9-foot ceiling, and it's really nice. It's beautiful. So you can see, yesterday I was there and I took these pictures. You can see the cabinets, and they were measuring for the granite countertops. So there'll be granite countertops not only in the kitchen, but on the 2 vanities in the bathrooms. And you can see they're in the middle of painting. So as you can see the bottom picture here, you can see that cabinet that's in the kitchen, in the bathroom on the first floor. What else do I want to talk about? Oh, let me talk about the heat pump technology. So this is electric. So there is no fossil fuels in these homes. So the heat pump is run by electricity, and so you'll have heat and air conditioning. So this is the new thing. So there is no there's a furnace for that, but there's no furnace for oil or gas. And you'll have a dishwasher, refrigerator, oven, microwave. As we talked about the flooring, I also wanted to talk about the siding. The siding is something called cement board. It's like a 25-year siding. So it is not wood and it is not vinyl. And it's a new, fairly new product called cement board that a lot of the builders really like using. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
So before we dive into the actual application process, I kind of wanted to do a high-level view of what it actually means to be in a deed-restricted house. So it has to be your primary residence. And if you are looking to lease it out, refinance your house, or do any capital improvements and sell, you do have to get approval from a monitoring agent, which I will go into a little bit later in this presentation. All right, let's dive in. The application process. Key ticket here is you have to get a pre-approval, and it needs to be a pre-approval for a deed restricted home. We do have a lender list in the information packet that's found on our website. It's absolutely fine to use someone outside of that list, but it's important to remember to mention that whatever lender you do end up using, that you are applying for a deed restricted house, because not everyone is familiar with the process. You will need to have 3% down, 1.5% of that has to be your own funds, and then the other 1.5% can be a grant, etc. There are a lot of first-time home buyer programs out there today with a built-in down payment, so please ask your lender about what is available. Next, we encourage folks to read the entire application before filling it out. This helps to understand what is actually needed and if you're eligible. So when you submit your application, please submit the application with all the supplemental documents. And finally, if your application is incomplete by December 2nd, which is the due date, we will not enter you into the lottery. So we encourage you to please get your stuff in early.
We've already received a few applications, and there's nothing wrong with getting your application in early because it gives us a chance to reach out and ask more questions if you're missing additional documents. For some reason, we tend to get many applications on the last day, and that is really a problem because we don't have an opportunity to try and help you make sure that it's complete and you won't be in the lottery. So I suggest making a note on your calendar for a much earlier date and get your application in ASAP.
So this was probably overkill, but I do find it really important, because we see mistakes after mistakes, to go over exactly what needs to be added for supplemental information to your application. So the first two bullets, proof of identification and pre-approval letter, are required for all applicants. However, the next bullets I'm going to go over may not apply to your household. So if they don't, write NA on the application so we know. Bullet number 1, we do require your 5 most recent consecutive pay stubs for every working member over 18 in your household. We count the entire household's income. Doesn't matter if you are not a co-head. Verification of employment. So that just means a letter from your employer stating how long you've been there, what you're making, your average weekly or monthly salary. If for some reason they need a letter, we can provide sort of like a general form that they can fill out. Also, that goes for no income certification. If there's a member of your household 18 or older that has no income, we need to have a notarized statement to an effect stating that. If you receive alimony and or child support, we'll need your award letter for the year. We also, so for student status certification, this is what I'm talking about. So 18 years and older, if you are a full-time student, we require sort of like a statement stating that they are a full-time student, which means a class list, because what we do is if they're a full-time student, we don't count their household income. We only count up to $480. Let's see. We also require 3 consecutive months of savings and checking account. We want the entire statement. We also need verification of any form of household income, such as Social Security, unemployment benefits, public assistance. We'll need that official monthly statement. Also documentation to prove local preference. So it could be utility bill, driver's license, tax bill, a letter from the school if your child attends. We're going to need 3 tax returns. We only want your 1040. If we receive your state taxes, we will just give them back. So please do not submit them. We're also going to need verification of all of your assets. So that can include stocks, any sort of retirement funds, CDs. It does not include your car or furniture. If you are self-employed, we are going to require 2 years of your Schedule C and a notarized statement reflecting your earnings and expenses of that current year. Now, we know this is a lot, so we encourage you to reach out at any time. Gail, I don't know if you want to add anything.
I mean, we're happy to help with any questions you have along the way. The good news is you don't have to do the application until you've done your mortgage pre-approval. So you should have all of this stuff ready. The bank looks at you in order to make sure that you're making enough money to afford the mortgage, and we're looking to make sure that you're not over the income limit. So we need the same things, but we have different missions.
Kayla,
Yep.
are you going to mention local preference again?
I will get into it a little bit later.
Okay, because you mentioned the school thing and I want to make sure they understand what that means.
Okay. So as Gail was mentioning, in terms of income eligibility is what we're really looking for. We know that this is a little bit complicated for folks, so just bear with me. The best way I like to describe this sort of chart is the first thing is determine your household size. How big is it? And then the next row we have here is ADAMI. So as Karen mentioned, we have 2 houses available for folks who are at or below these income levels in this row. And then below that, we have 100 AMI, and we have 1 house available for folks who are at or below that income level in that row. So say you are a household of 4 people and you make more than the 80 AMI, but less than the 100 AMI, you'd qualify for the 100 AMI. All right, another key part here is asset eligibility. That's something that we are also looking at. You cannot have more than $75,000 in assets for your entire household, and that does include your down payment. It also includes cash and savings, checkings, any sort of net cash value of stocks, net cash value of retirement accounts, such as 401k, Roth IRA, etc. If you do have real estate, we count how much you would make if you sell it. And any sort of bonds and capital investments. Gail, do you have anything to add on that?
You can't own a home at the time that you close on the property. If you do, this property needs to be your principal residence. So you would, if you had a property, you would need to sell it prior to. You can't own another home. And there are some exclusions to that, but generally you can't own another home.
And will you tell them why they would possibly be eligible if they owned another home? Meaning if they're a displaced homemaker or.
Yeah, so perfect. That's our next slide.
Thank you.
So we do require that you're a first-time home buyer, which the definition is you can't have an ownership interest in a residential property in the past 3 years. However, there are always exceptions. And so these exceptions are if you're a displaced homemaker, if you're a single parent, if you have a member of your household that's over 55, or a household that has owned a property that was not up to code. Karen, do you have anything to add to that?
Nope. It
Okay.
just, I was confused, so that's why I knew that someone else might be confused.
No, it's confusing.
It is very, very confusing.
So again, if you feel like you do fall into some of these categories, reach out to us because sometimes it's a little bit individual.
We're happy to help talk you through every single question. I know that you do have a lot, and sometimes people disqualify themselves over a question that they don't understand or that they thought might have been true. So I would rather have you call us, and as you know, as much as you can call as many times as you want with as many questions as you want, so that we can put you at ease and say, yes, you should still apply. You know, that doesn't matter because there are some individual circumstances that don't exactly fit perfectly. So we want to help you to be eligible.
Beautiful. And so the next bigger piece here, and the last sort of piece that we're going to bring up is household size and composition. So the houses here are 3 bedrooms. So we are going to prioritize households that maximize 3 bedrooms over households that don't maximize 3 bedrooms. So the way we define this criteria here is we have to have at least 1 occupant per bedroom. Married or unmarried couples only maximize 1 bedroom. If there's someone, or so there's an exception to that too, though, because if a couple can request from their doctor that they sleep in separate bedrooms for medical reasons, etc. So there is that exception there. That also goes for a single individual who requires a second bedroom for some sort of medical necessity. If you have an unborn child, that is counted towards your household. And if an applicant is in the process of a divorce or separation, we'll just need proof that that divorce separation has begun or has been finalized. So to sort of simplify this a little bit, if you are a single parent that has 2 kids, you're going to maximize a 3-bedroom. If you're a couple that only has 1 kid, you're only going to maximize a 2-bedroom. However, I don't want that to discourage folks who don't maximize 3 bedrooms. Please do apply, because you just never know. The folks who maximize a 3-bedroom something could happen where they can't get their loan, and then you'll be next on the list. Gail, do you have anything to add to that?
Well, after we do the lottery, we rank them according to this, and we choose every number. So we have the people that maximize 3 bedrooms, people maximize 2 bedrooms, and people that maximize a 1 bedroom. And we put them in order. Everyone is given a number, and people that aren't in the beginning of the list would be considered alternates. And it's not uncommon for alternates to end up being the ones that end up buying the property. So it's always good to just kind of keep the faith.
Beautiful. So let's sort of review the lottery process and timeline. The first 2 are your responsibility, and the second 2 are our responsibility. So number 1, you got to get that pre-approval. Can't say it enough. Your application will not be included unless you have a pre-approval. Second, you're going to fill out the application with that pre-approval and get it to us before December 2nd at 5 p.m. Once the application window closes, we will determine a lottery date and notify you of your unique lottery number, which is what Gail was talking about. And then HAC will host a virtual lottery via Zoom and draw the lottery numbers out of a box. And that night we will award winners and assign the alternates.
It's important that you understand too that the pre-approval that we're looking for is not the kind that takes 5 minutes. It takes a little bit longer. So we want to make sure that sometimes you can call them and say, oh, I make 50,000 and I have a credit score of 800, and they say, oh, good, here's a letter. That's not the right type of pre-approval. We really want to make sure that they've been able to take the time to review your credit score and your tax returns and your pay stubs. So it's a real solid pre-approval where they really know that you will be able to move forward. I mean, sometimes there's stuff on TV where people go on their phone and press a button and they're with Rocket Mortgage and they're approved and, you know, they fly off into the sunset and everybody's happy. That's not the real type of pre-approval that we're looking for. So make sure that you take the time and do a thorough pre-approval. And if your lender, doesn't want to do that, just tell them that they're very strict about that. We want to make sure it's a really good, solid pre-approval and they've looked at all your documentation. We also like them to review the deed rider as well, because deed rider, different lenders might say, oh yeah, we do deed riders all the time, but there are different deed riders. So I think it's important that in the pre-approval process, we're happy to provide a copy of the proposed deed rider. It's very easy to obtain and they should actually have it reviewed. If possible, it makes it a much stronger pre-approval for you.
Perfect. So that leads me to, after the winners have been identified, sort of what that process looks like. So as I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation about a monitoring agent, so we are actually monitored. Our process. So the application that you sent us, we then now send to the monitoring agent to do that final eligibility to make sure that you are income qualified and you do have under $75,000 of assets. And once that is approved, we can go on to the purchase and sales agreement, and then you'll obtain a mortgage commitment, and then you'll have your final review and closing. Do you want anything, Gail?
It's exciting. It's always so great to have when we have a winner, they're so happy and excited. And the other people, we call them non-winners or alternates. There's other opportunities that come up and you'll already be pre-approved. There might be resales available or even market rate houses, you never know. So going through the process is not for nothing because you learn a lot. And once you get through that bank pre-approval, you've done most of the hard work. So please, again, call with questions. We will hold your hand through the entire time, through the whole process. We want to make sure that you get the pre-approval first, because there's no use thinking about it or moving forward if you still have to work on maybe fixing your credit or paying off some small loan. That's another reason to start early, because a credit score can reset in 30 days. So if you had like a $500 credit card bill or $1,000 bill that needed to be paid that was affecting your score or affecting the amount of debt that you have, if you apply early or at least get your pre-approval early, there's a possibility of repairing yourself and still being able to apply by the deadline.
Can I say one more thing about the houses? Would that be possible?
Of course.
So before we get to the monitoring, I just want people to understand how this all happens, and I'll make it very quick. These houses are you know, each one of these homes costs about $445,000 to build. So you can see there is a gap there. And I just want you to understand where that gap comes from so that you're aware of it. So the town of Falmouth kicked in about $85,000 per house. And then the other money I actually had to raise from donors. So philanthropy is involved in this. So you have to understand that this has been a community effort, and that there are people in our community that really care about people having places to live and being able to afford houses that they can afford, that they can buy houses they can afford. So I just want you to realize that a lot goes into this, and it may seem like a daunting task for you to get this done, but I would tell you that raising that money was a daunting task as well. So I just want you to be aware of that. So if you do have questions, please ask, and don't be discouraged, because we do this because we want people to have homes. Thank you.
Thanks, Karen. So as I mentioned before I got into the application process, we've been sort of throwing this term around, a monitoring agent. So the monitoring agent for these homes is NeighborWorks Housing Solutions. And what that means is they'll just send out a letter every year stating that you're upholding your deed rider. You'll also work with them for refinancing and selling your home, for closure prevention, and sort of if you are looking to do any sort of capital improvements, you'll want to chat with them. And that sort of brings me to the end of this presentation. Where can you find the application? So you can find it on our website, which is hackoncapecod.org/lotteries. If you don't have access to a computer or a printer, you can visit our office or the Falmouth Housing Trust office to pick up a paper application, or just give us a call and we can mail you one. They're also available at the public libraries and town hall. I want to reiterate that the application deadline is December 2nd. And don't forget about your pre-approval.
And
It's also on, go ahead.
And
No,
all
go
of
ahead.
the documents.
And all the documents. It's also on the Falmouth Housing Trust website, if all the information is on there as well.
Yeah, they have a gorgeous website.
And I will tell you that my mantra is that I would never build a home for any of you that I wouldn't live in myself. So if you don't like my color scheme, that's your problem, but it's really pretty inside. And they're beautiful homes, and they're built very, very well. All the new building codes, the stretch codes in Falmouth. These houses are airtight. They have Anderson windows and doors, and I think you'll find them in the space. See the trees in the back? All of that is open space, which all of you would have access to. So, and each house is on its own lot. So there's no common area except for the driveways, and there'll be an easement for that. But you all have your own, lot.
It's
Karen, do
really,
you know if there's HOA fees?
No, there are no HOA. That's homeowners association. There is not a homeowners association. If the three of you decide to have a homeowners association, that's up to you. But there are no homeowners association fees, no. And I will tell you that the house directly on the left of these houses, I spoke to the owner on Sunday. It's a brand new home, and he paid $948,000 for the house. I'm just giving you an idea of this neighborhood.
it is true. It's a great location. Fabulous opportunity. I hope everybody gets their applications in early, and I wish everyone good luck. Please call, with questions.
So we have a lot coming in, so I'll slowly go through it.
Yeah.
But before we jump into questions, if you have any questions about the application or the lottery process that isn't answered through the Q&A, please reach out to Housing Assistance Corporation or our email lotteries@hackoncapecod.org. If you have any specific questions about the property, please reach out to Karen at Falmouth Housing Trust. Her number is there, as well as her email info@at falmouthhousingtrust.org. Okay, so let's start with a few questions.
So if we do answer live or,
So I'm going to read them out loud.
okay,
They're not that many. They're easy.
okay.
Someone asked if there's a washer and dryer hookup.
Yes, in the basement.
Yes, okay. Our fence is allowed to be put up.
As far as I know, yes. I don't see why there wouldn't be. There's a fence just to the left of this that other put up, but I don't see why you wouldn't be able to put a fence. You just have to follow the rules of, you'd have to find it from the town, and anything over 6 feet, you have to get a permit for anyway. So, I believe yes.
Great. Do you know how big each lot is off the top of your head?
Yes, I do. The front lot is 10,000 square feet. The house in the back right is 12,000 square feet, and the one on the back left is 11,000 square feet.
Great.
And the open space in the back is 15,000 square feet.
So someone asked if they're able to refinance if the interest rates go down.
Yes, but you need to work with your monitoring agent to do that. You can always refinance, but you have to work with your monitoring agent to make sure, because they want to make sure that you can afford what you're going to do. If it's going down, obviously you can, but yes, you always can refinance.
Which means you also have to stay creditworthy
That's right.
over time. Sometimes people go to refinance and 10 or 12 years later, they've gotten a little sloppy with their credit or debt, and they're not able to. But certainly, if rates go down, that would be a great idea.
So someone asked which is a great question, and I was going to add a slide about it, so I apologize. But someone asked if Pheasant Lane is included in this lottery, and
No.
Pheasant Lane is not included in this lottery. We're going to actually host a separate one, so then you'll be able to hear us again on that one.
Want to tell us about that one, Karen?
Sure, I can tell you about that one. So I was just complaining that the price has to go down. So I'm not sure exactly what the price is going to be. It'll probably be somewhere between $235,000 and $265,000. We have yet to purchase that, which we'll probably do in the next 30 days. And then it'll be the same process, exact same process as this. 33 Pheasant Lane is 1,954 square feet, has a 1-car garage. It's 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. And I will tell you that last year we had it appraised and it came in at $935,000. And it's becoming an affordable home because of many things that the town did incorrectly. And we went to the state and asked them if we could make it a 40B. And after much ado, we were able to do that. So also the town itself, through the Affordable Housing Fund, is giving $100,000 towards that. And we're buying it for $400,000, just so you know. We're very transparent. So that means I have to raise the difference. Anyway, so yes, it is a beautiful home in a beautiful neighborhood, and we're excited about that one as well.
The next question someone would ask about that is, would we automatically be included in that lottery? And the answer is no. We have to start from scratch. It's going to be its own separate lottery. So everything will need to be new. Everything will need to be updated. You can give some of the other paperwork, but it's completely separate, with a little bit of different monitoring agent as well. So it's all going to have to be new, but you'll be in great shape by the time it comes.
You'll be a pro.
You'll be ready to go.
That's right.
So another question that came in is, what if I get a raise during this period?
Tell
I'm
them to
already at
hold off
100.
until you're done with
During,
the application.
during the application period, once your income is reviewed, if depending on the marketing time and the closing time, they like to have everything be closed within 60 days of closing. So these are going to be done, we think, in January. And so I would say if there was a possibility of getting a raise, maybe I would not take a raise during this process. After you close, you can get as many raises as you want.
Right.
We never look at your income again. You only need to be eligible at the time that you apply.
So tell them to hold off and pay in February.
Someone asked, what is monthly mortgage amount with 3% down, including taxes? I don't think we can answer that.
I would
Can't
have a
answer that because I don't know what the
mortgage
rate's gonna be. But I can tell you that the value of you'll be paying taxes on the 245 or the 290, and the Falmouth rate right now is, I think, 8.01. So you can just do whatever that's gonna be, 245 times
The mortgage people will,
yeah, it'll be about $2,000 for property taxes a year on the 245 houses, but they can tell you that, yeah.
Someone asked if the homes would be ready before Christmas.
No. Well, the lottery won't happen. The lottery's not gonna, the homes are supposed to be done at the end of the year, okay? Like and we have to get an occupancy permit after that. Because the town has to come and, inspect everything. But what's gonna happen is the lottery is gonna be done sometime in December, and then you have to get your mortgage. So you're not gonna be ready for probably 4 to 6 weeks after that.
yep.
Let's see. Someone asked, are applicants those whose names are on the mortgage? If one of the married couple is not on the mortgage, are they count as part of the household? We count the entire household, regardless if you're on the mortgage or not.
Adults and children.
Which is why I tried to express that if you do have a child who's 18, or no, you don't have to be a child, if you have anyone in your household who's a full-time student, we only count up to $480 of income.
Everyone lives in the house. Yep.
There's a question here about Pheasant Lane again. When's the application due? We don't know yet because we haven't bought it yet, because the lawyers are still trying to work things out. And so as soon as we purchase the home, it'll probably, we'll set a date. And then you have to have, what, 60 days, Gail? Right?
Start
After
to,
we, yeah. So my guess is it won't be till end of January. That's my guess, somewhere around there. January, somewhere time in January.
Someone asked, are bank statements needed for every working member over 18 or just applicants? We need bank statements for every working member over 18. I know it's a pain, sorry.
and tax returns. The
And
document.
Pheasant Lane. yeah,
Unless
and
they're a
Pheasant Lane-
dependent.
Yes, I'm sorry. And Pheasant Lane will be 80% of area median income, because that's required by the regulatory organization of the state for that one.
I'm just going through them one more
I
time.
am too.
There's two people who have their hand raised. I'm going to allow them to talk.
Okay.
I'm going to choose Terry first.
Hi, thank you. It said disabled on the chat for me. That's why I raised my hand. Do you have a suggestion of banks that we should apply to, or is that something that we just try and do on our own?
No, so we provided a pretty comprehensive list of lenders that's on our website and our information packet that we encourage you to check out.
Okay,
I can
thank
always
you.
email it to you as well.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
But I would suggest, Terry, that you try to go to a bank that you work with so that they know you. I mean, that might help a little bit if you know, if you go to
Okay.
your own-
Thank you.
Local banks understand our programs, and the people that are on our list all understand our programs. And there's many different types of loans. And some of them have a sort of a down payment component. Some of them require a higher credit score than others. What happens is if your credit score is under a 640, what we're finding is that they tend to, or what you're eligible for and what the banks like to do is do FHA loans for those people. And unfortunately, FHA loans do not work on the deed restricted property. So you're probably going to need at least a 640. And the products that many banks have are similar, like a mass housing loan or mass housing or another loan called MHP1. And we have all the different loan types written on that application. But if you have an account with Cape Cod 5 or Cape Cod Cooperative, I would suggest giving them a call and just going in and sitting down, even without something being formal, and saying, hey, what do I need to do here? What does it look like? You can also go on Credit Karma and look at your credit score, and that won't affect you as a hard inquiry and lower your credit score. So a lot of times people can go on to Credit Karma, make an account, and get an idea of what your credit score is in case you don't know. But most of us know what it is now because of the way technology has been letting us know.
Could I ask you one last question?
Sure.
That new, I read there was a new program called Mass Dreams.
Yes.
Is that something you can use with this, or is that something that's totally different?
I would check with your lender, and I
Okay.
would look for a lender that on the lender list that has, do you have a local bank?
Yeah, I bank with Cape Cod 5.
Cape Cod 5
Cape
knows
Cod
all
Co-op, excuse me.
Cape Cod Co-op too. They both know all about it. It's a mass housing product, and it's being used with mass housing and MHP that are two different agencies, but they're working together. So there's a number of criteria and different rules that they have, but I absolutely would ask your lender about the DREAM program and see what they can do. It's new, and everyone's very excited about it.
Thank you so very much. I really appreciate it.
Of course. Gail, I don't know this question. So someone said that they have someone who stays with them to help provide childcare while working in the summers. Do we add them
If they're not living there full
full
time
time? Yeah.
as their primary residence, I would say no.
Mhm.
I mean, there's two ways of looking at that. If you're adding a person to have a larger household size, I don't think that will work because they're going to have a different address. And then if you're wondering if it's okay if someone stays with you, that you don't need to have permission. Certainly if your mother wants to come in the summer and help with the kids, good for you. You're lucky. She's welcome to come and help.
Was there another person, Kayla, that you had their hand up?
Yeah, but I don't see them anymore. We must have
Okay.
answered the question.
So there are a couple of questions here that someone asked. Do you need a special pre-approval for this house? I have a general approval. Do I need a special one?
You need a pre-approval for a deed restricted property, which it's important that they understand that there is an affordable housing deed restriction because certain products will not work. And local banks understand that.
Right. What is a notarized statement about a non-working adult?
If someone's not working, they need to write a letter that they're not working and have it notarized as a legal document.
All right. They asked about closing costs. That's up to your attorney. You have to talk to
The
an
lender.
attorney. The lender, I'm sorry, about the closing costs. And the utilities, honestly, I don't have any idea. But remember, you're not paying fuel costs. You're only paying electricity. Not that electricity is cheap, but
Isn't the electricity, when it's the whole house electricity, isn't it a reduced rate anyway?
I don't know that.
I thought when electricity was your primary source of utilities, that it's at a little bit of a reduced rate.
I think that the owners would have to talk to Cape Light Compact and maybe they could help them figure that out.
Mhm.
HOA fees, no. Average monthly mortgage, okay, we can't do that. We talked about fences. Talked about how big the lots are. We talked about Pheasant Lane. Well, the noise in front yard the front yard have a yard that is able to be fenced off. Okay, we talked about fences. Oh, and someone asked about addresses. Yes, the addresses are 55, 57, and 59 Loose Neck Road. The 57, which is the back one, back right, 57 is the 100%. Okay, because we had to pick one for the state when we applied. So just so you know.
Someone asked about the closing timeline too, of being able to move in. So once you're approved as once you're a winner, and then we check with the monitoring agent, which doesn't take too long. It's 45 to 60 days, and it's on the bank's timeline when you're ready to close. If the house is ready and there's a certificate of compliance, a certificate of occupancy, and the house is ready, it's just up to the whether the bank is ready, and that's the two attorneys make a plan on that. So 45 to 60 days, I would say, from the time that you sign a purchase and sale agreement.
And the houses will be ready, so you're not gonna have to wait for the houses to be ready. And the grass was sprayed let's see, the grass was sprayed the end of last week.
It's a good time of year to grow grass, so that'll be good.
Yep.
And people, you can get solar panels probably too on these if you wanted
Probably
to.
good.
As-
There's a lot of programs available today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So-
there's a lot of things you can do.
So it's very exciting. I love the houses. I consider them mine, but I will share them with you. And they're really terrific. And I want you to look up, if you can, Greg Clancy Construction. Greg Clancy builds $1 million homes all over the community, and he has built these houses. So they're very, very good. And the product he's used is very, very good. And you can thank him, because I'm sure he gave me the family rate. In fact, I know he did, because I insisted. And there are a lot of people that contributed to this. Cape Cod Aggregates gave us the stone, and Mark Delpy did all the excavation and doesn't charge me enough. And so, you know, this is a real community effort. So it's really a neat thing.
Could I put in
Awesome.
a plug too for Megansett Crossing, in case for some reason you get to the lender and they say, well, not this year for the pre-approval, we need to raise your credit score, we need to do this or pay something off, or you just need a little more time, and maybe it's not this one, maybe you'll be getting ready for the next one. In the meantime, Megansett Crossing is on our website as well, which is a brand new rental development happening in Falmouth.
Beautiful.
Is really, really pretty. So check out on our website too at hackoncapecod.org if in fact you're going to be in a brand new rental, maybe for a little bit before you end up being a homeowner.
And those are 2 and 3 bedroom
Mhm.
rental. And some are at 80% and some are at 100%.
Yes.
So, and I know the guy very well who's building them, and he does great work. So,
Yeah, they're beautiful.
Karen, sorry if I missed this. Someone asked, do you know who built Pheasant Lane?
yeah, Dan McClone. He also built those 12 houses next to the high school.
Great. Well, I'm not seeing any more questions coming into the chat. But again, these were amazing questions. It's always so nice when a group is present and engaged. Seriously, great questions. Again, our contacts are in this slide. If you have any questions about the application or lottery process, reach out to us at HACK. Any particular questions about the house, reach out to Falmouth Housing Trust. The deadline is December 2nd, and I hope you all are going to be reaching out to your lenders soon.
Tomorrow. First thing tomorrow. Let's do it.
And I will work on compiling a list of these questions because they were so great, and sending them out probably early next week.
Yeah, one more
You-
question. Mary asked, is the electrical individual zones? Yeah, there's upstairs and downstairs. And there's a separate compressor for upstairs and downstairs, which is kind of unheard of, but Clancy Construction put that in, so it's much more efficient. So, yeah, these houses are just, they're great. 1,551 square feet. So,
That's big. They'll
really-
probably be
and-
really efficient.
and a beautiful, big, tall basement. So, there's lots of storage.
Someone did just drop in the chat, what exactly do we need for retirement documents? It depends on what fund it is, but generally we just take a yearly statement that shows what the balance is at that time.
The way that that works too is if the asset limit is 75,000, and let's say you were 45 or 50 years old and not eligible to cash in that retirement account, what we're looking for is the net cash value. People get confused on that sometimes. So if you were to call up Fidelity and say, send me a check after penalties and fees and taxes, what am I going to have in my hand? How much is that check going to be for? That's the amount that we're looking for. That's the net cash value of that asset. So if you have $100,000 in a retirement account, don't not apply, because the net cash value might bring you down to, 65,000 or something. So again, keep the faith and try.
We're good. Call us if you need
Everybody.
us. Okay.
I'm gonna see all those
Um,
applications next week, I guess, because the pre-approvals will be ready by the end of this week.
So someone who it's a follow-up question to the retirement documents, I recommend you reach out to us and we'll have like a phone call about it. Just because I want to make sure that we're answering it correctly.
Right. So I can't get interest alone. Does the loan count as an asset?
Asset.
I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah.
Any,
So feel free to give us a call anytime tomorrow. We'll be happy to take it. Beautiful. Thanks, Karen and Gail.
You're very
Thank you,
welcome.
Sheila.
We will,
And thank you, everybody.
I hope everyone has a great night.
Bye.
Bye.